Hello, hello, hello. I certainly hope that everyone is having a fantastic day today. It is 4 o'clock, June 3rd. This is today's episode of Her Version, a podcast dedicated to hearing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Today, we have an amazing guest speaker with us, Jessica Singer. Jessica is the owner and operator of Opal 6 Boutique, an online store filled with everything from clothing and jewelry to kitchen and bath accessories. Jessica originally started the store back in 2017 when she became a single mom, and over the years, it has morphed into an amazing online community of individuals. Jessica is an amazing example of a resilient individual who does whatever it takes to take care of her family. She is a fighter and stands in her power to not only survive, but thrive. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be here, and I hope you can hear me now. Is this any better?
Yes, I can hear you, and I'll let you know if I can't. But I am so excited to have you on. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day, sharing your story, and getting the kids and everybody quiet so you can hang out with us for a second.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. So honored. I've been down the rabbit hole of your podcasts, and I have to say I'm a little obsessed. I've probably listened to every single one, and I can't believe how good they are. So on it means a lot.
Thank you, and I'm so I feel very grateful to the women like you who are taking the time, because to be honest, an idea is just an idea as far as this goes. And if it wasn't for women like you that were willing to come on and share their stories, then it really wouldn't have became anything. So I'm very appreciative to you. So listen, to get started, I want to talk about this. So I never like to minimize anyone's story, including my own. But you seriously put my story to shame. I really do pat myself on the back for opening my eBay store up years ago, for those of you watching that know my story, and selling stuff on OfferUp in order to escape my narcissistic relationship. But you took this to a whole nother level. Your Facebook Lives are literally addicting.
Thank you so much.
Now, before we get into doing what you do, let's start at the beginning. If you don't mind kind of giving us a breakdown of the path that kind of led you to being the brilliant entrepreneur that you are today.
Okay, so I'm a couple months away from being 40, to put it into perspective. So when I was 20, I had gotten a relationship with my now ex-husband after leaving another narcissistic, controlling kind of relationship with my old boyfriend I was like 18 and lived with. So I got into a relationship with my ex-husband, and we moved in pretty soon after starting the relationship. I was going to college full-time and working, and he was a server in a restaurant, didn't want to go to school, wanted to do the video game thing and make some easy money. And so early on, he started gambling, and I remember a time where he was working in a restaurant, getting to pick something off the menu to eat every lunch break. And I had been living on macaroni and cheese and hot dogs without a bun, because I don't even think we could afford that. Mm-hmm. And every day I was eating macaroni and cheese, and one day I just started crying because I was just like, this is not fair. This is not right. And I called him. He was at work, and I was like, I'm really upset. You get to eat these hot meals, like this good food every single day, and then you take your tip money and you go to the gas station and you gamble it away. Because here in Vegas, there's slot machines in our grocery stores and our gas stations. And I'm eating these every single day, and I'm going to work and I'm going to school. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I remember being made to feel like, well, why should he be punished just because his work feeds him for free? So it is what it is. Like, he gets to eat for free, and I have to eat the macaroni and cheese. And these things just kept happening over and over again. And I don't know why I accepted it for myself. I know, being so young, sometimes we don't know any better.
Yep.
There were times where I remember on a birthday, all birthdays were ruined, always.
Yep.
Not sure if you can relate to that. But I remember one birthday, coming home from work late, and I was so excited to celebrate my birthday. And I walk into the house and I announce, "Let's go out for dinner." And he's playing his video game and he says, "I'm not hungry." And I was like, "Well, I am, and it's my birthday. Let's go." And he said, "It's not fun for me to go out to eat and sit there while you eat." And I'm like, "It's my birthday. Like, I should have walked into the house and there should have been plans, and, he should have made me feel special." But instead, I was made to feel crazy for thinking that he should have to sit there and watch me eat. And I, like, went to the store and I got a frozen pizza and a bag of salad and a bottle of wine. And I sat there sobbing into my food. And these things a lot in our relationship. And I made excuses, but the worst was the gambling. And I do also remember there was a time where it was right before our wedding, and we had a big wedding planned. And my parents had spent a lot of money, and we had people flying in from all over the place. And my ex had gambled away all of our bill money. And I was at my bachelorette party. My girlfriend had gotten us a hotel room, and instead of really having fun, my biggest thought was dwelling on this all night long. I don't have enough money to eat breakfast tomorrow. Like, we have $250 in our bank account, and we need that money to try to pay whatever bills we possibly can. And I just kept thinking, what am I going to do in the morning when everybody wants to go out for breakfast? Like, I don't have any money to eat. And everybody was in bed, and I get a call from the man I'm about to marry, like a day from now. And he says, "I have to tell you something." Like, he was out on his bachelor party, and he says, I got pressured by all my friends, and I took $200 out of our bank account and spent it at a strip club. And I was
all the money,
all of it. And here I am. I just want to eat breakfast. And I'm sitting outside of the hotel, and I'm like, hotel room, on the floor in the hallway, just sobbing. Like, I've got all these people here coming for my wedding. He just, like, not only did he put us in this situation to begin with, where, like, we didn't have money for our bills, but now he took the last little bit and spent it on strippers, and I can't even eat breakfast. And that's shown up, flown from out of town to come to this wedding that my parents spent all this money. And I thought that I needed to follow through with this, and I did. And I am loyal to a fault. And so I put up with it for a long time. At one point, he wasn't working because he got laid off or whatever. And I was working like 60 hours a week. And this is before we had kids. And he had gone out and he had gambled. And it just negated the overtime that I've been working day and night. And it just was like, for what? You just took all the money that you've been watching me work for like hours, killing myself, and you just took it and you gambled it away. Like, and I was like, enough already. So I was strong, and I told him to leave and go get help, and he did ish, and I accepted him back. So he had abstained from gambling for a bit. He never really focused on working a program, which I am sure, like, with your sober coaching, you know that you can't just be a dry drunk. Like, you need to put work into it. And he was abstaining, and I took him back, but he wasn't gambling, and we decided to have kids. And so we had my son, and I thought things were kind of okay, and then they weren't. And my dad passed away, and he went back out and he started gambling majorly. So instead of grieving the loss of my father, I had to deal with how are we going to pay our bills. it was just a constant thing. And I definitely have some crazy issues with money and guilt over spending anything on me. And then he got better, and he stayed abstinent from gambling for a couple of years. And while there was still all those narcissistic behaviors, I made excuses for it. And I thought as long as he wasn't gambling, that we had a great relationship. And I also, now looking back, I realized that my truth was so backwards because I just kept telling myself that if I didn't set my expectations high, then I would never be disappointed and we'd have a great relationship because we never need to fight. Because
I remember that.
And I also remember telling myself that anger is a selfish emotion. And I kept telling myself that anger is a selfish emotion because how could I be angry that he's not doing the things that I want him to do or think he should do? Like we're all in control of ourselves, and we should all live the life that we want to live. And I just kept saying, like, he would watch me work boatload of hours while he was working 3 days a week. And he would watch me clean up the house and get up with the kids and do everything. And he would lay there on the couch and watch TV and play on his phone or whatever. And before I used to say, like, dishes need to be done. Like, why aren't you helping? And he would say, why do I have to do that just because you say that I need to do it right now? And so I just kept telling myself, as long as he didn't gamble, anger is a selfish emotion and my expectations are too high, and I shouldn't be angry that he's not doing what I think he should be doing. And it's such a crazy way to think, like such a backwards way that I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I wound up getting pregnant again with my daughter, and shortly after I noticed that we had no more money again. And at that point, it had been a couple of years of him not gambling. And I knew that because we were able to take trips and we were able to go out for dinner and not live paycheck to paycheck anymore.
Oh.
Because he made 6 figures at his job. Like he did well. He just never brought it home. And he was. So I was like, I think that we're going to be okay. Like we can all have a new baby and life will be okay. And then shortly after we stopped having any money. And for a long time I was really sick in his disease because as a spouse of an addict, I was constantly just trying to catch him in his lies and paranoia and all of that stuff. So I decided that I was no longer looking at the bank account. Like he was okay. It had been a year of him like not gambling. And I gave him the bills and I said, I can't keep checking to see what you're up to. You're either going to gamble or you're not. And I need to like remove myself from it. Yeah. Which now looking back on that wasn't the smartest thing because he was now telling me that that people were not coming to his work. He worked in a nightclub. And he's like, it's not popular anymore. People aren't coming. I'm not making any money. Things were bad, but he didn't want to get another job. And then we stopped having money for our bills again. And sitting with the power off. And I remember going through McDonald's drive-through to get food for my son and like fighting with myself because I was starving and I wanted a $1 cheeseburger and just like having the willpower to not get it because we don't have that extra $1. It was such a terrible time, and it was so hard. And I remember we had taken money out of our 401k to try to make ends meet, and I think what it was that he had gotten a really large tip that got to get put in our bank account. And now looking back, I'm pretty sure that he won money in a slot machine and put the money into the bank account. And so here I was thinking that we had like thousands of dollars in our bank account and we can now breathe again and pay our bills and catch up. It was like 3 weeks before Christmas and we hadn't bought any presents. And I was like, oh, okay, finally things are looking up. And then the next day I go to get in the bathtub. I remember this so well. I go to get in the bathtub and I get an alert on my phone saying our bank account balance is less than $300. And I was like, yesterday, like a couple $1,000s was deposited in our bank account. And I log on and my heart's racing and I'm going back to that time where I was when I was sick in his addiction, and I'm looking and just scrolling, like jaw dropped to the floor, just thousands and thousands, like life-changing amount of money in 1 year being withdrawn from our bank account over and over and over again. And the bank fees, because it was never just one lump sum at a time. It would be like 7 transactions within a couple of hours period of time. And I realized that here I was, like, I wasn't eating, but I was trying to coupon to feed the kids. And he was watching me do that. And all the while he was making plenty of money to support our family, and he was gambling. So that I texted him and I was like, we need to talk as soon as you get home. And he gets home and I said, I know what you've been doing, and this is no longer just me that you're affecting. Like, you have watched me struggle to feed our children. You need to leave.
Yeah.
And he's like, please, I'll get help. I promise you. And I just said, no. Like, I was willing to be a punching bag for a long time, but now my kids are involved. Like, you need to leave right now.
Yeah.
And I told him, at that point I said, go get help. Like, if in 90 days you've really worked hard and you get help, you can come back. But right now you cannot work on it here. You need to leave. And I remember him telling my son, he was 6 at the time. My daughter was 2, he was 6. And he owned it. And he told my 6-year-old, he's an old soul, just said, I haven't been doing right by you guys, and I need to go get help. And he said, I promise I'll be back. And he packed up his stuff and he went to his parents' house. And so long story short, we're divorced, so he didn't get help. Almost going on 5 years now. This is a long time ago.
Wow.
So anyways, during the time where I was in major crisis, where I didn't know that he was gambling, but we couldn't pay our bills or whatever, I had watched one of my girlfriends. I had actually gone and helped her. She had started selling LuLaRoe, which for anybody who doesn't know what LuLaRoe is, it's an MLM kind of thing where you can buy a bunch of clothes and you can sell it and basically make instant money. And I had watched her make all this money, and I was like, this is interesting. Like, I'm so desperate, I'll do anything. And so I put my name on a list to sell it. I don't sell this now. I have my own boutique, but at the time, I put my name down on the list. So I was like, well, maybe this will be the answer, because I cannot keep living like this.
Yeah.
So I had talked to my aunt about it, like a month or so prior to me getting my ex-husband out of the house. And she is so successful, like self-made, amazing businesswoman. And I called her and I was like, what do you think about this? She's like, I mean, the clothes are interesting, but it was like, the concept is cool. And she's like, I don't see why not. Like, you can give it a try. So at that point, there was like a 2-month wait. So when you put your name down on the list, you had about 2 months before they called you and asked you, do you want to do it? And wow. I put my name down on the list like a couple months prior. So the night that I kicked my husband out, I called my aunt sobbing. I was like, I kicked him out. Like, what am I going to do? We have no money at all. Like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. And now I'm a single mom, and I didn't plan for that. Like, at all. Like, it was within a couple of hours, I realized that he had done what he did. I kicked him out, and now I'm sitting there like, what do I do? And I never had any self-confidence in myself. I think that's one of the biggest reasons that I stayed for too long, is that I didn't think that I could financially support myself, let alone 2 kids.
Yeah. When did you start getting your power back? Do you remember the actual turning point?
I do. So when I called my aunt, and I was crying. She goes, "How much do you need to start this business?" And I told her, and she's like, "I mean, I can help you today, but then you're going to need help next month too, because my job, my corporate job of 18 years was not enough money to pay my bills at all." And so she's like, "Start a business, like start a business, and you won't need to ask help from anybody ever again." And I was like, "Okay." So a couple days later, LuLaRoe called, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start a business." And I remember thinking I need to make money immediately because I had to pay for bills, I had to pay for Christmas. Like I needed to start this right away. And I'm not a selfie kind of person, or I definitely wasn't, and I was not somebody who would ever go live on camera. I was my appearance, my self-esteem was really had taken a beating. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to turn on this camera. It was right when Facebook Live started.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm gonna open these boxes. I'm gonna turn on a camera, and I'm gonna show clothes. And if like I'm gonna show up every single day and hope that somebody buys something.
Yeah.
And it was a couple weeks later of me starting the business, and just I worked my full-time job in the middle of the night, luckily from home. And I wasn't sleeping. I was working all night long, and then I was trying to sell these clothes all day long, and it was working. And I didn't have a choice. Like I couldn't fail because I had a mortgage and I had two kids, and one was in private school and with major health problems, like and my mom. I helped to support my mom. So I'm like, I just have to do it. So when I started getting my power back was when I realized that I don't need anybody else financially, and I don't need anybody else to make me happy. There was like when I hate saying this because it sounds so mean, but when I had my ex leave, there was this calm that happened, this peace. Like even during dinner time, it didn't matter. It was just like, what do we want for dinner? Who cares? Like it's food. Let's just eat. It doesn't have to be this whole production. Like it was just peace and no yelling and no problems. And so that's when I started getting my power back when my ex kept saying, I want to come home. And I'm like, dude, you're still working 3 days a week. You're watching me work 2 full-time jobs, and you're still not going to meetings every day and getting the help that you need. Absolutely not. I don't need you. Like we're financially way better off with you and your income out of our house.
Wow.
And that's when I started getting my power back, is when I realized that instead of that thought of anger is a selfish emotion and I should not expect somebody to act in the way that I want to, is when I realized that I had the power to accept what I was willing to, the behaviors that I was and wasn't willing to take. And
Yeah.
so, and that I have no control over anybody. I remember at nighttime, my son and I would recite the Serenity Prayer because he would cry and he wanted his dad to come back. And it was just like, just reminding him and reminding myself that we're powerless over what anybody else does. And the only thing that we can do is wake up every day and be the best version of ourselves and work hard and not have to worry about going to the grocery store and spending money on food, and try to live our best life the way that we can, because we can't control anybody else.
100%. 100%.